Violent soon come, soon come. Yeah. Soon come, soon come. 2-minute warning, clock tick, heart drum, speaker box trembling. Know what we on? Sweat drip, floor shake, baseline, blood run, mouth dry, fist high, waiting on that one. Violent, soon come, hold tight, don't run, when it drop, man done, when it drop, man done. Violent, soon come, whole place gets spun, from the U to the O1, when it drop, man done. Phone light waving, whole crowd locked in, DJ teasing, pull back, reload, bring neck hair, rise up, silence, deep lung in that first hit, everybody sprung. Right lemon, soon come, hold tight, don't run, when it drop, man done, when it drop, man done. Right lemon, soon come, whole place gets spun, from the U to the O1, when it drop, man done.
This lion is the king of the jungle. Huge, man. Yeah. He's laying down under a tree in the middle of Africa. He's so big, he's so hot, he doesn't want to move. Now the lion cubs come, they start messing with him, biting his tail, biting his ears. He doesn't do anything. The lioness, she starts messing with him, coming over making trouble. Still nothing. Now the other animals, they notice this, and they start to move in. The jackals, hyenas, they bark at him, laugh at him. They nip his toes and eat the food that's in his domain. They do this and they get closer and closer and bolder, till one day that lion gets up and tears the shit out of everybody. Runs like the wind, eats everything in his path. Cause every once in a while the lion has to show the jackals who he is. It's no time to be scared. It's time to kill. When the lion roars,
Raw element sound, veteran style. You know, running the place from a long time. Yeah, that. From the first dub play, crowd start lean and sway. One touch sound boy fade. You feel it in your chest, not just your face. Select read the crowd, one finger pull it back. Every corner of the art know exactly who run that. When the lion roars, the whole jungle trembles. Raw elements sound make the dance floor crumble. From the front to the back, every heartbeat stumbles. When the lion roars, the whole jungle trembles. Whoa. Sticker on the crate, scars from 1,000 nights. Name ring cross town like thunder after light. OG in the booth, still fresh, still sharp. Every rhythm that they touch, turn fire in the dark. Oh! When the lion roars, the whole jungle trembles. Raw elements sound make the dance floor crumble. From the front to the back, every heartbeat stumbles. When the lion roars, the whole jungle trembles. Sound boy, better humble. Watch your crown, it tumble. Anywhere you rumble, dancers start to rumble. Them here call the name, still me there same way. Words cut deep. Them can't tame me. Them a chop on my file, screenshot my style, flip up my line, try twist my profile. Panel killer, me mash up the trial. One question, room silent for a while. Keyboard soldier, bruise up them ego. Views can't save you, truth still a steam though. Them want skill, but them want it free. Watch out them free, still can't be me content creator. Them vex. Panel killer on the set. Me words of power, them fret. Them wish them coulda do it like this. Then hate when me talk so raw. Me voice shake room, change law. Me stand tall in a every war. Panel killer, me no withdraw. Me silence, me answer with science. Edit up the evidence, expose the alliance. Me build up me craft, while them dey on space. Me study every angle, them study me face. Scene after scene, me script too clean. Them stuck on me stuck on dream. Audio razor, feel your laser. Same time drop, instant eraser. Woo! Content creator, them vex. Panel kill up on the set. Me words of power, them front. Them wish them coulda do it like this. Them hate when me talk so raw. Me voice shake room, change law. Me stand tall in a every war. Panel killer, in a withdraw. Turn up the sound when them try turn down. Still hear me name, make a right through town. Them wish for the craft, but skip the grind. Me sharpen me mind, them sharpen punchline. Content creator, them vex. Panel killer on the set. Me words of power, them friend. Them wish them coulda do it like this. Hate when me talk so raw. Me voice shake through, change law. Me stand tall in a every war. Panel killer, in a withdraw. So what's going on? What's going on? What's going on, everybody, man? How is everybody doing today? How is everybody doing today, man? Look, do a quick microphone check, real quick, you know. So what's going on? What's going on? What's going on, everybody, man? How is everybody? Yep, microphone checking for man. How is everybody doing? Good evening, good evening, good evening. And man, I hope everybody's week is going well thus far. Mine is going excellent. I don't know, should I? Nah, I'll keep that to myself. But anyway, man, how is everybody doing? To the second installment of the Siders family. Something's not right. Something's definitely not right. And when I you know, hopefully, you know, this has been something since I mentioned, you know, y'all have looked into it and maybe y'all have, you know, up to speed. Excuse me. So I found a lot of information, some corrections I need to make, and just an all around conversation, try to bring you up to speed with things that I found out. And you know, first I'd like to, if you didn't see my first live or my first installment part one, go back and look at that. But some of the things that I mentioned in that live that I want to anyway, there's a couple things that I want to touch upon from my first live. And you know, one of the things that I said, and I tend to be right about things I say. And one of the biggest things I said is that before it's all said and done with, this is going to be a landmark type situation, and it's going to bring about sweeping changes in terms of child and family services, legal, and more than anything, the legal age of marriage. Because you know, in doing my research into this, I kind of stumbled on, you know, a total side topic, which is the topic of teen mothers. And you know, of course, you know, you think about situations, and you know about it, but you don't really think about it sometimes unless you're directly connected with it, or you know, you just are a champion of causes, that you would know that there is a people who are lobbying against like teen marriage, or as they call them, child moms. So which leads me to my first correction I have to make, and unfortunately I gotta eat crow. But let me, hey Sincere, how you doing? Oh shit, saying Sincere, reminds me I was rude. And let me do as I always do. Let me start from the bottom and work my way up to the top. Yo, Sincere, thank you for joining me this evening. As always, thank you. 16 to be exact. 16, and would have been 18, but a set of twins were born prematurely and conjoined at the heart. They actually share one heart. So, but so, and I will answer the question about the children. Just hold on real quick, Sincere. But yeah, Sincere, thank you for joining me, Dr. Soapy. Again, one of my heavy hitter mods. Sincere, one of my heavy hitter mods. Thank you for joining me. All my heavy hitter mods, thank you for joining me. Sparkles. Thank you for joining me, bro. Hey, man, thank you for all the shares and everything. You know what I'm saying? I really appreciate the support very much. YouTube Unfolded. Not a mod, but you are a heavy hitter. Vibrant Low. What would I do without you? You my heaviest of heavy hitters out this motherfucker.
So, Vibrant, thank you very much. I do believe that's it. Yes, yes, yes. So, I will try to greet everybody as they come to the building. But yes, sincere, it is actually 18 children or 16 children ages 18, 16, 15, 14, 13, 11, 10, 8, 6, 5, and then a set of 4-year old twins, a set of 2-year old twins, and a set of 18-month-old twins. Yep. So, I mean, I think this might be my opening like phrase as I talk about this subject like every night is like, where do I start? But one thing that I was thinking about is that like I have to approach this shit like the way I approach it. It's not making light of it, but as disturbing as this situation is and everything that it encompasses, I got to find my spots like where there's not quite humor, but you'll see. But I got to be me in the way I present this. There's nothing funny about it, but if you hear me, if I if I clown anybody, it's gonna be the agencies, the state officials, the attorneys, shit like that. But in terms of the situation itself, I'm not gonna make light of that because there's nothing to be made light of. But the first correction that I need to make is if you listen to my last live, the first correction I need to make is that, well, I thought the old ciders here, let me put a picture of them so you can get a understand the players involved in case you don't know. These are the ciders. So we have Gary Jr., and these are the main players. We have Gary Sr. to the upper left, Gary Jr. to the upper right, his wife, Elizabeth, to the lower left, and Gary Sr.'s mother to the lower right, Christina. So I made the assumption that the Siders were from West Virginia because that's where they got married at. No, actually, they're from Ohio. Now, um, I've worked in Benton County before, like construction projects, but where they're actually like from the area, the best I can figure is an area called or a county called Gallatin County, Ohio. Now that I am familiar with because I had worked on a road project about 20 years ago. Damn, fuck, God damn it, 30 years ago. Shit, fuck. But anyway, I know Gallatin County, and and obviously by this shit, it ain't changed much in the past 30 years. So I definitely know that area, Gallatin County. That's like near like the slash West Virginia, almost Pennsylvania border. And another correction I need to, yeah, yeah. After every burp, she was pregnant again. Yes, and there's a term that I was introduced to. It's called hyperovulation. Basically, when a woman is just like pregnant, like so, like where pregnant every year, like uh, uh, like after she have a baby, 3 months later she's pregnant. After a certain amount of time, it messes up a woman's system so much that they're basically become that much more fertile, I guess, because their system is all out of whack and they're like, from what I understand, they'll be dropping double eggs and all that type shit. But anyway, so here I am all this time thinking the deciders were from West Virginia, but no. Gary Jr. and his wife Elizabeth, turns out they were the only ones that were married in West Virginia. So, and another correction that I need to make is, I was giving West Virginia all this shit about, at the time they got married, it wasn't no legal age and shit, and they got married, woo woo woo. I'm like, that's why they went there and shit. But turns out that had they been rejected in West Virginia, they could have applied for marriage in Ohio. So that is a question, but anyway, because come to find out that, and I found this out like, which I'm like, left me with egg on my face because I'm talking about West Virginia all this time. We doing the same shit over here in Ohio. You know what I mean? Because come to find out that the that up until, I'm not sure what year the law was changed, but like like West Virginia, here in Ohio, there was no legal age, I guess, for marriage, a woman or whatever, to be married, right? So, which brings me to how I found out that information, right? So, when you look at the ciders with this, with the information that I've like ran across, that this is a, I guess the term I could use is systemic problem. I guess I can use that term in terms of maybe the way of thinking of definitely this family, but people in this area. And that's another correction that I need to make. I never thought of that area as being like Appalachia or part of like Appalachia, but actually it is. And I guess technically it would be part of the very start of the foothills. But I guess there's a large Appalachian influence because of the location. But make a long story short, how I found out that Ohio, and now Ohio, um, like West Virginia, has settled on laws. Now, West Virginia is 16. Here, it's 18, but with some other type circumstances and shit like that. Now, come to find out, before I get to this detail, there's advocate groups that are that advocate against 18, no exceptions for marriage or for women to be married, right? Now, the reason I say, like with the ciders, this is a systemic problem. That's the best word I can think of it. Generational problem. Let me just use that term better. What's going on, Keeper? In the fact that how I discovered that there was no legal age to be married, at least in 2002, that there was no legal age to be married in Ohio, because Gary Sr. turns out that, is from a, most a good sized family, right? So it turns out that Gary had a brother who passed away, rest in peace, in 2025, right? Named Richard. Turns out that records were filed that in 2002, Richard, who was then 48 years old, and his soon to be bride petitioned or whatever, filed for a marriage certificate that was given, and they were lawfully wedded, lawfully wedded, lawfully wed in 2002. Now, Richard was 48, and wait for it, his wife Tessie was 14 and pregnant and the marriage was granted. Now, look at the cycles, look at the patterns, and come to find out, Gary Jr., hello, Joe, Gary Jr. has a older sister who also married young. But yeah, Gary Sr. has a brother, Richard, who was 40, who in 2002 married his wife, Tessie, who was 14 and pregnant, right? But we see now a tale of two women, right? We have Tessie and we have Elizabeth, right? Now, I don't know how many children Tessie had, but she didn't have 16. You know what I'm saying? She had a, decent, whatever. You know what I mean? But now, she was married in 2002, right? Um, Elizabeth was married in 2008. Okay. So let's look at where they are now in 2026, right? Now, Tessie and Richard remained married until he passed away in 2025. So they were married 20 plus years. But now I don't know if this was before he passed away, or let's just say as we sit here today, right? Tessie is uh, advocate, a advocate for the 18 no exception marriage rule. And because she says that she wants to ensure that young girls have the childhood that she didn't. You know what I'm saying? And when I heard that, it kind of made it, not kind of, that along with other things we're going to get into, made me look at this situation and made me look at this shit from a whole different perspective, because it's like, you know, like, hey, you know, Elizabeth got me. You know what I mean? The mother shit, married young, woo woo woo. But you know, I hello, Bird. Thank you for joining me this evening. Thank you for joining me this evening. But one thing that I kind of that this kind of shook me back into reality, in that I had to put myself in that situation, meaning that, like, I was a single parent, right? I got custody of my son when he was 5 years old. So I know the like, on all fronts. Yeah, what was she know at 14? But it's just, seeing how both their lives have turned out, and how Tessie became uh uh and she's now an advocate for, like, the 18 no exception marriage rule, like she says, because she wants to make sure that girls have the childhood that she didn't, right? So where was I? Oh yeah. So I had to, like, put myself in a situation, like, not as a mother, but as a parent, a single parent. You know what I mean? And that, like, on every front, every way imaginable, like, I did everything in my power to protect my son, like, and provide, like, the best that I could in every way for my son. You know what I mean? Whether it be, like, his quality of living, to his education. You know what I mean? And that ain't really nothing special. That's what you're supposed to do as a parent. And hearing Tessie's story and how it mirrored Elizabeth, it really kind of helped me bring me back to reality, right? So, in doing my research, I've it's been it's come out that all, well, including the two twins that died, all 18 children, right, were mothered by Elizabeth, and 18 birth certificates, all signed by Gary Jr. And all of the children were born in hospitals with the assistance. And now, I'm not sure if all of them were born in hospitals, but I think let me see, six of the births were assisted by a midwife, right? Now, um, let me take this picture down, because one of the things that I said also is that, like, the coverage and all the unanswered questions and all this. Well, a lot has been answered. And like I said, like there's going to be a lot of sweeping changes. Um, the finger pointing is started already. But before I get to any of that, right? One of the things that, um, because this is such a stain, one of the things that we're gonna, we're gonna hear a, we're gonna hear a little interview or part of an interview with um, someone I introduced you to last year. He's the acting Attorney General for the state of Ohio, Mr. Andy Wilson. And one things that if you saw my last live, I pointed out how you know, you know, dude looked just like there was something to hide, right? And it's like, unfortunately, um, I mean, sorry about your luck, pal, but it looks like you're gonna be the face of this thing, right? So, hey, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Playboy, playboy, playboy. You know what I'm saying? Gotta blame somebody. You know what I mean? But you know, one of the things that I had pointed out is like some of the statements that were made, like terms like third world country and this and that. So in this clip we're gonna hear, um, we're gonna basically, I'm gonna narrate it as it plays. Okay, let me fair use, fair use. Hold on for a minute. Let me rule my fair use here.
Down interview, acting Ohio Attorney General Andy Wilson is opening up about the Vinton County child endangerment case involving those 16 kids. It's drawn national attention.
Yeah, Wilson has spoken publicly
going,
about
Rico?
the case before, but in this one-on-one interview today, he responds to growing questions about misinformation, the conditions those children were living in, and whether this case is being wrongly tied to poverty or Appalachia. WLWT News 5's Karen Johnson here now with this exclusive conversation, Karen.
Yeah, hey guys, a lot was said today. Wilson says this case is horrifying, criminal, and almost beyond comprehension. But he also says it's being misunderstood. In our interview, he made it clear this is not some far-reaching trafficking conspiracy, and he says it should not be used to stereotype families in rural Ohio communities. Instead, he says this was severe child abuse and neglect allegedly happening behind closed doors. From and neglect allegedly happening behind closed doors. Says this was severe child abuse and neglect allegedly happening behind closed doors. From families in rural Ohio communities. Instead, he says this was conspiracy.
Okay, hold on.
And he says it should not
Okay, want you to hear this part right here.
be used to stereotype families in rural Ohio communities. Instead, he says this was severe child abuse and neglect allegedly happening behind closed doors.
Okay, so already it's like I said, they're trying to get in front of this, and he's already saying like, hey, this is a one-off. You know what I'm saying? This ain't no representative. This isn't a representation of like rural Ohio. This is just one family fucking up basically. But let's hear what
From
Andy
above,
is.
the property looks quiet, isolated, tucked away in rural Vinton County. But investigators say what was happening inside this home was anything but normal.
I have been in some terrible places. I've been in places with flies all over the ceiling and roaches all over the floor and feces all over. I have never seen anything like this.
16 children ranging in age from 18 months to 18 years old were removed from the property. Investigators say they were found in a cramped 12 by 12 foot room, some severely sick and unable to communicate. The children's parents, Gary Siders Jr. and Elizabeth Siders, and grandparents, Gary Sr. and Christina Siders, each face 16 counts of endangering children.
This was an interfamilial thing. This wasn't a devil worshiping human trafficking ring where you got to worry about the safety of your kids getting snatched up on the streets.
Ohio's acting Attorney General Andy Wilson says the big concern now is misinformation, especially on social media where rumors can spread faster than facts. He also pushed back on the idea that this case somehow defines rural Ohio.
You can't define child abuse in like the Appalachian, Ohio.
Wilson says abuse like this is not limited to one part of the state, though he acknowledges in rural areas, isolation may make it easier to hide. And he was especially direct when asked about any attempt to explain the conditions as poverty.
You can be poor and not have things and not neglect or abuse your kids. So it's not a dependency neglect issue. It is clearly a criminal. It's a criminal issue.
Wilson says the children are now top priority, and that
Issue. It is clearly a criminal. It's a criminal issue. And not neglect or abuse your kids. So it's not.
Okay, listen very closely to what he says right here.
It's not a dependency neglect issue. It is clearly a criminal. It's a criminal issue.
Wilson says the children are now top priority, and that means making sure they are placed in therapeutic foster homes equipped to handle what he described as serious physical, emotional, and psychological needs.
Throughout this shit,
so it's not a
throughout this situation, right? We're gonna be hearing. I have a feeling we're gonna be hearing a lot from Andy Wilson now, and I picked up something on here, right? When he's being deceptive or PR or company, like when he's, you know, trying to spin some shit or whatever, when he speaks, you know, he speaks clear and concise, right? But when he's about to say some bullshit, he has a little stammer like before he speaks. Now watch it, catch
dependency neglect issue. It is clearly a criminal and not neglect or abuse your kids. So it's not a dependency neglect issue. It is clearly a criminal. It's a criminal issue.
Wilson says the children are now top priority, and that means making sure they are placed in therapeutic foster homes.
Did you
attempt
catch
to
it?
explain the conditions as poverty?
Did you catch it? Listen again.
You can be poor and not have things and not neglect or abuse your kids. So it's not a dependency neglect issue. It is clearly a criminal. It's a criminal issue.
Wilson says the children are now top priority, and that means making sure they are placed in therapeutic foster homes equipped to handle what he described as serious physical, emotional, and psychological needs. As for whether warning signs were missed, Wilson says those answers will have to come later.
When it's done, when the facts are known,
now this is going to be some major stammer, because this right here is some bullshit. So he's going to be in full stammer mode because it's some bullshit.
Answers will have to come later.
When it's done, when the facts are known, when you've completed the investigation, you go back and you look at how you can do things better.
And Wilson also addressed the decision to release Gary Sider Sr. on bond, an OR bond, saying it was not ideal, but that his
Okay. Now. Oh no, it's just a one-off, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, it's just these motherfuckers, you know. Hey, there's nothing to see here. You know what I'm saying? So that's not reflective of, you know, just one-off, huh? All right. Well, you know you fucked up.
12-15. Yeah, it was 12-15. Exactly. If I'm not mistaken, it was 12.
Now you see something. Now you see now, you done fucked up, you know that, don't you?
I see what I'm saying. I thought.
No, so, you know what I'm saying? That you done fucked up now, you know that, don't you?
Yeah.
You know you done fucked up, don't you? You know it, don't you? No, you done fucked up.
Why do I say that? Here's why. Okay. Now, if y'all will, like, take out your phones real quick, if you want to. Google Vinton County, Ohio, and then do an image search of it, and it'll show you like the location of where Vinton County is. So if you look at a map of Ohio, it's kind of like in the lower. If you cut Ohio in half, it's like in the lower 2/3 type area, right? Okay. So let me share my screen real quick, and we're going to listen to something. Once again, fair use, fair use, fair use. Now, we heard what Andy just said, right? Okay. Now, we can just play this and I'm gonna get my commentary. Well, I'm gonna get my commentary as it's playing.
To the recent House of Horrors case out of Vinton County, Ohio, where 16 children were removed from a home in deplorable conditions. 7 News reporter Alex Taylor sat down with community leaders and law enforcement who say the conditions behind this case call for more awareness in our local communities. She has the story now from the 7 studio.
30th Vinton County Sheriff's deputies arrived at a home in Hamden, Ohio, where investigators say 16 children had been living in unimaginable conditions. 7 were taken to hospitals, including 2 flown to trauma centers in critical condition. The children's parents and 2 grandparents now face multiple child endangerment charges. The case disturbed much of the country, but here in the Ohio Valley, the people who were closest to vulnerable families say it didn't surprise them at all.
Did it shock you when you saw it?
Sadly, no.
Jefferson County Sheriff Fred Abdallah says while a case involving 16 children.
Sadly, no. Kind of different from what old Andy was saying, don't it? You know what I'm saying? Sadly, no. Sadly, no. But let's continue.
Children is rare. The underlying issues are not. He shared that his deputies regularly encounter children living in neglect, abuse, and unstable homes.
People in this county would be shocked to know.
Jefferson County.
What did you say?
Sheriff Fred Abdallah says while a case involving 16 children is rare, the underlying issues are not. He shared that his deputies regularly encounter children living in neglect, abuse, and unstable homes.
Neglect, abuse, and unstable homes. Doesn't that directly conflict with what Attorney General Wilson just said? Let's continue.
People in this county would be shocked to realize exactly how some children are living. But sometimes it's a matter of people with just ignorance of they've been raised and they were, it's like generations of people who grew up in a lifestyle that's not normal. And sadly, we've had those issues here in this county.
Those same cycles.
It's like I said when I was talking to Stephanie last show. Like if your normal is this dysfunction, which is abnormal and not normal, that's your normal. Basically, is what he's saying.
Goals are something Molly McGovern sees every day. As executive director of the Friendship Room in Steubenville, she works directly with families experiencing homelessness, addiction, and extreme poverty.
I think one of the main things I noticed that was troubling me is how many people are rightfully horrified, but how they're also surprised. And I'm not surprised.
McGovern says while the Vinton County case may represent a severe example, the living conditions she encounters every day often tell a similar story.
This isn't a one-off situation. Maybe so many people.
My bad. I'm sorry. I got
the main things I noticed.
Let me, because I want to. Now she is, she.
I think one of the main things I noticed that was troubling.
My bad, man. Let me go back to what she said again. Where we at?
I know.
Extreme poverty.
I think one of the main things I noticed that was troubling me is how many people are rightfully horrified, but how they're also surprised. And I'm not surprised.
McGovern says while the Vinton County case may represent a severe example, the living conditions she encounters every day often tell a similar story.
Now she's ground zero, right? She's ground zero. Directly conflicts with what he's saying, but it's going to be a lot of damage control. Like it's beyond damage control. This shit is going to get bad.
This isn't a one-off situation. Maybe the extreme of it is a one-off. We can hope and pray that it is.
But it had to happen though. At the same time, this had to happen. This shit right here had to happen. You know what I mean? Because now I'm playing her word like her words, like I said at the end of every show, words have power. Now her words have power. And it took a situation like this for her to be heard.
Sadly, being street level, I have seen very, very similar situations daily. And it is very much third world conditions. And when I first started, I had never seen third world condition. I did not know, nor would I have believed what I now see as much more common in our area than I think the average resident knows.
Stating that many families aren't choosing these conditions intentionally. They're repeating neglectful behaviors that they've lived their entire lives in. McGovern says poverty alone isn't the cause for unsafe living conditions.
When you have generational poverty and generational depression and no hope for anything being different or better, because your parents, your grandparents have never seen anything better. So why would you see anything better?
She and the sheriff agree that real change comes from helping them before a crisis, like the one in Vinton County, reaches that level of severity.
Show them other resources as well, to encourage them that it is possible to get people to come in and help you clean your house. Instead of always being penalized, giving them the opportunities that they can have a fresh made bed. They can have a refrigerator that works. They can have clean sofa to sit on that's not bug infested and filled with mildew. So many of these people have grown up generationally in these conditions that this is not startling to them. They have learned this is the norm. This is the average lifestyle of what we can expect.
And Sheriff Abdallah says law enforcement can't solve the problem alone. Often the first people to notice something wrong aren't deputies. They're neighbors, teachers, family members, or friends.
Please, if you see something, you got to say something. It's better to be safe than sorry.
From his perspective, community resources remain stretched thin, making partnerships with organizations like the Friendship Room more important than ever.
There are never enough resources. I'm thankful for the resources that we do have in this county. Countless times we've called to the Friendship Room and Molly McGovern for assistance in housing or getting people the things that they might need. But there's never enough resources, you know, and the need is always there.
For McGovern, the goal is breaking generational cycles before families reach a point of crisis.
But to build a relationship slowly so people know they can trust you, and then we can take the appropriate steps to make lasting changes, to bring about lasting hope. Not just call names, not just make fun of. That doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help anything. The children disappear. We never hear from them. The children never get help unless we come at it with much more kindness, much more education, and much more hope.
Reporting for 7 News, I'm Alex Taylor, working for you.
Okay, now, hearing that, you would think that like this story was just an extension of what's going on in Vinton County, like right? Because you're hearing this shit, right? So, I want y'all to, if you would, if you want to, Google Jackson County. Now, I also know about Jackson County. Jackson County is due east. It sits right on the like Pennsylvania, West Virginia border between me and y'all and old school mafia. You know what I'm saying? Old school mafia. You know what I'm saying? They was linked up with the New York and the never mind, another story for another day, P. Another story for another day. You know what I mean? So as we hear, we're going to be having a situation where questions are going to have to be answered, because this shit like this don't just happen, right? And I've been trying to piece a lot of shit together, right? And it's starting to make sense now. There have been opportunities, like a lot of opportunities for intervention, and people may ask, like, all right, P, why you like, why this, this whiteies, what I'm saying, Appalachia type shit. But see, when it comes to laws, laws and legislation and changes, right? Laws may be precipitated by a certain event, but they benefit everyone, right? Because it's like, not to this extent. Now, different areas have different problems. You know what I'm saying? Rural, country, like out in the sticks, they have their problems. Urban, city, they have their problems. You see what I'm saying? But in terms of like girls, like having children, like young and underage, and being like married young, like that affects everyone. It's not just an Ohio thing. It's everywhere. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, because I didn't like this is some, like, actually this is one of these things that, like, you never know when you are when you're researching something, that it opens up the door to search that you didn't even know existed. And like, I straight up have found a cause that, like, damn, I think I really want to champion, like advocating the 18 no exception marriage rule. You see what I'm saying? Because it's like you have situations like Christina and Gary Jr., right? But they're no victims. And there were so many times when, like, yo, shit could have been done, right? And but to kind of see their pattern, right? Now, okay, for starters, they got married in '08, in 2008. And now we found out that the majority of this time they were on their own, right? That they've only probably, that the majority of the past 18 years, they've been on their own, self-sufficient. They've only been with Gary's. Look, at this point, I don't even know who's who for real. You know what I mean? But they've only been married. They've only been living with Gary Sr. and Christina since 2021, for only 4 years, right? So, but the timing in which they moved there is very significant, because that's where you pick up on the pattern, right? These motherfuckers moved around a lot in, like, within southern Ohio and maybe even West Virginia, right? Now, how could they, how one way that this shit could have been intervened a long time ago is because of the fact that she gave birth, that I know of, all 18 children were born in hospitals, right? And their whole thing is, I don't know what's wrong with these motherfuckers, but their whole thing is, they didn't want to, I guess, they didn't want to, for some reason, they did not want to send their children to school. But obviously they're not being homeschooled, right? And let me digress right there to play another quick video, and this is probably the last video that I play. But so speaking of the children, because I don't want the children to get lost in all this, because they're the most important, like, in this situation because they're the victims, right? But a $1 million emergency fund was passed by lawmakers here in Ohio that's going to directly to the care of those 16 children, right? And let me share screens with you real quick. Scan fair use, fair use, fair use.
Experienced the caseload doubling in a matter of a day.
$1 million from the Ohio Controlling Board Emergency Purpose Contingency Fund will go directly to the 16 children rescued from the Vinton County home investigators describe as deplorable. The Ohio Controlling Board giving the thumbs up on this emergency funding Monday. They say that the 16 children will directly receive these funds for mental health services, medical treatment, and foster care. These efforts are pushed by the Ohio Department of Children and Youth Services. They say this funding is needed now.
There are resources that cover their transportation, their emergent needs, clothing, just their immediate placement.
Joel Potts with the Department of Children and Youth Services calls this case
How
unprecedented.
you doing, Bertha May?
Resources were for an immediate investment to stabilize the
Hey, go join me this evening, Bertha May. Thank you.
resources they need.
Republican State Senator Kyle Kohler and Democratic State Representative Bride Rose Sweeney both agree $1 million isn't enough.
I'm always worried that we're going to spend this money now when it needs to be spent. But what happens when these children are, the youngest of the children are in their teens and things start coming forth that we didn't expect?
We had the governor come in the Department of Children and Youth and say our system is underfunded. We had Republican and Democratic county commissioners saying that our systems are underwater.
With therapy services exceeding $300 per day per child, Potts says those funds will be used quickly. Now, members of the Ohio Controlling Board say they need to find out how this was missed for so long.
Nobody can say what we know at this point, that this is okay, that this is excusable. And it's not a situation that just one city, local township can handle. This is a system about making sure that children are protected.
You've never experienced a caseload.
So once again, like this directly contradicts what the Attorney General was saying, like trying to downplay like what the problem is. And yeah, this may be it like, I don't know, like in terms of how Ohio ranks, but this is a problem nationwide. You know what I mean? But this highlights like the situation. Okay, so back to Gary Jr. and Elizabeth, right? So these motherfuckers just, their main thing is they didn't want to send their kids to school, right? So that's where the intervention could have taken place, or could have taken place, is through truancy, right? So in 2021, right, they were living in, I think they were back in Gallatin County, okay? And I forgot for how many children it was, right? But in 2020, I think they were actually charged with truancy on multiple children, right? And of course, they didn't show up. They didn't show up for court, and they motherfucking dipped, right? And then they moved to Vinton County, right? So you got, and here's the part that's like the sickening part about it, right? The reason they moved around because the state was, I guess, like they were moving around before they drew too much attention to, one, how many children they actually had. See, because what they were doing, they were having children in multiple counties, right? So she was using the same system, the same social services system, just in different counties down in eastern Ohio. See what I'm saying? And exactly, out of sight, out of mind, right? So, but every time, I guess, like the law would get on to them, or they even thought, people were starting to get suspicious or whatever, they would up and move, right? And the children, um, like none of basically they got 16 children that from the time they were born or from the time they left the hospital was off the fucking radar. Now that's a state problem. And what's up with the midwife? Who's considered like I would imagine it's considered almost like a medical worker. And aren't they like compelled to like report shit like this? Yeah, I mean, but so the point I'm getting at is like Elizabeth and Gary. Okay, so this is the most disgusting part about it, right? You on the run because you don't want to get because these motherfuckers are trying to take your kids, right? They're gonna snatch your kids. So you keep up and moving, right? So in 2021, it got like they got charged with multiple counts of truancy because like of their multiple children missing the entire 2020-2021 school year, right? So they knew they was gonna go to court and lose their fucking kids, right? So they moved. Okay. Now this is the most fucked up part about it. At the time they moved, they had 10 children. This was in like 2020, 2021, right? They up and dipped and moved to Benton County, like running away, hiding, the kids they had. At the time they moved, they only had 10 fucking children. Well, not only, they had 10 children. And what did they do? She has six, well, counting the ones that died, she has 8 more children. Thank you, man. You know what? This makes my day when I when I can spark conversation. Let me put up Vibrant's comment real quick because this is it right here, Vibrant. Thank you for quickly looking up this information. Boom, this is it. According to the plaint, 6 children enrolled at okay, that's the thing. They were enrolled, but they weren't enrolled. But okay, so according to complaints, 6 children enrolled at Adderville Elementary School accumulated more than 72 hours of unexcused absences during the 2021-2022 school year, meaning Ohio's definition of habitual truancy, right? So their parents were charged with habitual truancy. They were issued a court date, which they didn't show up to, and they bounced, went down to Benton County, and then had 8 more children. 2 of them passed away, unfortunately, right? But like I said, yeah, they were the perpetrators, if you want to call them perpetrators. But like I said, you got to look at the system that put this shit in place. You know what I'm saying? Like I gave you the example earlier of Gary Jr.'s uncle, Richard Siders, who in 2002 here in Ohio married a 14-year-old girl. And when they were granted their marriage license, she was pregnant. you know. So it's like I said, this exposes. Oh, Steph, you got too much red ball, baby. You got to watch the replay. But a lot, I've turned over a lot of rocks. You know what I mean? But let me drop the link if anybody would like to come up and discuss this. You can. If not, hey, I got a I got a little more info, and then I will get out of here. But if anybody would like to come up and discuss this, let me drop the link. Yeah. So, like I said, in 2001, they were charged, and another interesting development, right? Which I will be shocked if it's kind of okay. Now it's official that they are going to be they're going to be filed or they're going to be tried separately, right? Which which I don't know how that is going to affect the intra-family defense or not defense, but the intra-family angle. Well, I don't know if it's called the angle, but that the prosecution or the state of Ohio is applying in this situation, right? But an interesting development over the past, well, actually today, was Gary Jr. Gary Jr.'s lawyer was able to get a gag order only for Gary Jr. So, I mean, I don't know if this is like a every man for himself type situation, but um the funny thing about it is none of the other three attorneys followed suit and tried to file gag orders. I mean, so, but maybe I'm thinking maybe because of the added charges that Gary may have against him as relates to the public indecency, or like there may be some other shit going on. But the point I'm getting at is that like I said before, it's all said and done, and this is gonna sound like a broken record me saying this, but like there's not too many people who aren't gonna know about this case or the fallout of this case. You know what I mean? Because when it's all said and done, man, this you know, let's talk about the children like for a quick second. Like just that some of the children and you got to think about it like you got ages 18 months to 18. So which you got to think hell like the ones who probably were the worst off were the youngest set of twins, but at the same time they're still like young enough. And shout out to Sincere, their minds and their brains are still malleable enough that the that in 2 years you can do damage, but not that much that it can't be reversed. You see what I'm saying? But when you get to some of those middle to and I really don't know, like, but come to find out, like some of the older children do in fact or did have social media accounts, but that don't mean shit. You know what I'm saying? Just because you got social media, like, I mean, you can punch out a couple words and all that type shit, but that don't mean shit. But in terms of like the middle children, like from the agency that provided the spokesman that provided the emergency relief, like help me put in perspective. Like, man, these children are fucked up. Like where some of them are going to need intensive therapy, both physical and mental therapy, well into their 20s, into their adulthood, and may like never like fully live or live fully functional lives. Exactly, Lorna. And like, so I live in Franklin County, which is the capital. It's in Columbus, which is the capital of Ohio. And I pretty much like, I will be surprised if that case isn't moved to Franklin County because I'm thinking there like there's not too many like counties like big enough to accommodate like a case like that because you're going to need a large population. But hell, is it possible for them to get a fair case? Or yeah, I mean, like, which is going to lead me to another thing. Oh, shit, Steph, this you?
What it do? What it do?
Okay, Steph. Oh, let me say something too. Like, so floating around social media, um, you may see it may be AI or it may be actual videos of inside the home. And let me just advise anybody: if you see any of those videos, do not repost them, do not share them. Like the safest pictures or go to official web or official news sites like here in Ohio, and the most you're going to see is zoomed in from behind behind the police tape, because there are videos that are um, authentic, but police haven't been able to, or authorities haven't been able to authenticate which ones are AI and which ones are fake. But and this is straight from the prosecutor of Benton County. They are looking into those videos because one, this is an active investigation.
Right.
Two,
You know, the
the people.
Kobe Bryant
Two,
situation.
and two, the people who obtained the videos trespassed in the home,
Right.
just and disturbed like property in an active crime investigation.
Right.
So anybody sharing those videos, you might be in trouble. So you won't see any of that shit floating around on my channel. You know what I'm saying? So
Well, and
oh,
anything purporting to be actual news, these fly by night AI channels that have news in their title or whatever,
right.
if they have anything alleging to depict any of the children, that's not real
It's not real.
they because they're not allowing photos of these children to be taken for one thing, much less like journalistic ethics
Mhm.
prohibits the release of children's faces to the media and things like this. So in situations like this where they're deemed to be, victims, I mean, even if they're not deemed to be victims, their identities are going to be withheld. But especially in situations like this, like those things are not going to be subject to media release.
Right. And you remember, look at this statement of Vibrant. The lawyers representing the four people are taking umbrage with the statements by the attorney general and the sheriff in regards to the living conditions. And did not say that, Stephanie?
Right.
And
Right.
now I gotta vet this, right? But I'm gonna put this out there, right? A couple days after, there was a fireman slash paramedic, right, who transported four of the children to hospital, right, and gave an interview. Okay, now I'm trying to vet this, but in a town as small as that, I wouldn't be surprised. But they're saying that this dude might be the clerk of courts.
if it's if it's a small town like that, they ain't got no professional firefighters. They're all bi or tri-vocational. They're
Right.
not full time professional firefighters. Hell no.
Exactly. So you know, yeah, okay, you're a firefighter, but you're also the clerk of courts, motherfucker. What are you doing? What are
Right.
you doing? You know what I'm saying? What are you
Right.
doing? You know what I mean? But it ain't gonna get them out. Wait a minute, hold on for a minute. Okay, I'm back. So what do you what are your thoughts on um only Gary Jr. Only Gary Jr.'s attorney filing and getting granted a gag order?
Who is the gag order? I missed that part. So who is the gag order silencing? Who's the restrained parties?
Just Gary Jr. and they all have separate attorneys and they're going to be tried separately.
Okay, so
What's going on, player? What's going on, D Rail?
why would his attorney get a gag order against their own client?
No. Oh no. No. I'm sorry. The judge ordered a gag order for the press,
Oh, okay.
but it was only Gary Jr.'s attorney that applied for it, and none of the other. As I'm sitting here now, none of the other three attorneys followed suit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Gary Jr. is going to be the fall guy.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Jr. is going to be the one that's going to be deemed the most culpable. He's going to be the bad guy in all this. He's going to be the bad guy. I don't know that he's not the bad guy, but I think Grandma is suspicious to me. Grandma seems to be one of those, I wouldn't. This comparison is not anywhere near fair to my Meemaw, but my Meemaw was a very hard woman, right? And those women exist, and it can go into very, domineering, kind of, personalities where they may not be physically abusive, but they definitely are have shaped the mind of their children to the point where they are willing, especially, and this happens to sons a lot of times too, where they are so scared of mama that they are willing to do whatever mama says.
Well, did you hear what I said about, or did you hear about well, Gary Jr.'s uncle, Gary Sr.'s brother?
About the being married to a 14-year-old?
When he was 48, he married a 14-year-old.
Because she was pregnant.
Because she was pregnant.
Yep.
And you know what? Here I was giving West Virginia shit. In 2002, we didn't have any it was the same shit in effect as long as you had parental consent.
Yep. Yeah. 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 And that's also a great way to not get charged with failure to supervise your children, because if you are knowingly let your daughter be sexually assaulted by an adult, whether they're in a dating relationship or not, that could be grounds for a neglect case or CPS intervention or something. If they're married, then that's fine.
Interestingly enough, right? The judge was interviewed, who actually granted the marriage license in 2022, right? And the reasons that he did is because there was no objections.
Right.
Right. Meaning that Job and Family Service, like nobody stepped in and objected.
Right.
Law enforcement, like job and
Right.
like nobody stepped in, so there was no reason why he, I guess, legally couldn't grant the
Right.
marriage. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? Which is the problem, because it should never got to that point.
No.
Dude should have been arrested for statutory rape.
Yeah, but you don't have any. See, and this is the insidious shit. This is insidious shit. And this happens a lot. I go down that road about the problems with this happening in backwoods Southern Baptist churches, where all of a sudden, you want to be able to get that marriage license quick enough so that they can claim that she got pregnant on her wedding night. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm thinking this.
All of a sudden, the Holy Spirit has blessed a union. The Holy Spirit has blessed a union, guys. Let's marry them. Let's have church wedding this Saturday. The benevolence committee get them stoves working. We're having ourselves a wedding, and then all of a sudden, oh, she must have gotten pregnant on her wedding night.
And it's crazy, like and in doing research and shit, and hearing quotes from now Gary Senior's brother name was Richard, right? And his wife name was Tessie, right? Now to be fair, they were married 20 plus years, right? But she is now a advocate for 18 no exception, like nationwide, because she says that she doesn't want girls not to have the childhood, or to have the childhood that she didn't have. See what I'm saying? And hearing that just kind of really like shook me back to reality about this whole situation. Like, because you heard me last show, you know what I'm saying? And not saying that, it's just things I've heard now. Like, I can't. They were willfully moving around to avoid, one, getting their children a proper education, and because they didn't do that, they were moving around so they wouldn't get their children taken, and adding children as they go.
Yep.
And in 2020, and in 2022, when they were finally on their ass, and they had, I think, like 4 or 5 counts of truancy, and the children were going to be taken, court date, given and everything. They skipped out, moved, and then that's where they moved in with mom and pop. Well, with down in Vinton County in 2021, and at the time they only had 10 children. Now you're running with the 10 children that you have, and you have 6 more. That's why I'm just like, you know what? Okay, like, I need to think. Okay, yeah, need to stop listening to her attorney. That motherfucker's good. You see what I'm saying? But it's like,
how old did you say? Oh, sorry, I mean,
no. Go ahead.
How old did you say the oldest children are?
18.
18.
Right.
18. What is the age of adulthood for criminal liability in Ohio? Do you know?
I think it's 18.
Okay, because here it's 17. In some states it's 16, but yeah, it just varies. It's somewhere between 16 and 18. Yeah, I don't think it goes any lower than 16. I don't think, to automatically be tried as an adult, not to just have the option, but you are legally an adult for the criminal system at 17 here in Texas. And I know, like, some states it just varies. But the reason I hit the link was to just hypothetically, like, talk about like how this cycle of victimhood and perpetrator is so quick. It overlaps so much because, like, we would say that 18-year-old is a victim, right, of these of the situation of these parents. We don't really know necessarily the specifics, but if we're going to say the younger children are, then why isn't the 18-year-old? But then hypothetically, and I'm not saying this is what happened, I don't know anything, but what if we find out the 18-year-old was involved in some of this abuse and neglect?
Mm-hmm. What was the last sentence you said? I'm sorry, I was reading a comment. My-
What if the facts end up showing that the 18-year-old was participating in some sort of abuse, neglect, harm of their
oh,
younger brothers and sisters?
right, right. I mean, you got to think about it. Like, when they were shit damn near parents themselves, probably. You know what I'm saying? Or not
Right.
even parents, but like, right, you just don't know because, shit, look, I was the baby. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, not to let, but I know how, you know what I'm saying? I know I
And
got
I was the
fucked up by
oldest.
I got fucked up by older brother and sister. You know what I'm saying?
Hell, I was
So,
supposed to sometimes to keep them in line.
right. Oh, yeah, I used to snitch like a motherfucker, especially on my
Well,
brother.
and I mean, not just to stitch, but to like, when my little brothers didn't want to do their chores and they bowed up. Like, I mean, we fought, but like, I didn't, do anything crazy to them. But we would fight about that shit. That was normal. You fight with
Mhm.
your brothers and sisters. That's just, but it can cross the line into sibling abuse, and it's like if you have a child that's grown up in this, and you would consider them a victim, does that change when they turn 18 or 17 or whatever? And now they've been they can be considered just abusive themselves. And it's like, when does somebody stop becoming a victim and start becoming just as liable as the parents in this situation?
Right. And it probably wouldn't surprise you to find out that the gentleman that secured like a $1 million emergency relief fund strictly for the children, like, was speaking before lawmakers, just let them know, like, like, this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just to stabilize the situation. But he was like
Right.
he's like, realistically, like, long term, some of these children like may never recover, but best case scenario, they're gonna be well into their 20s, still trying to recover, like, especially like mentally and emotionally from this shit.
Well, and right, and developmentally, I mean, there's just some
Develop
things that happen.
right,
Lack of nutrients, lack of touch,
exactly.
lack of speech. You just can't get some of those deficits. Like, you can't get that time back.
And I just pray when you said lack of, like, touch, I just I thought of a situation, and I just pray, like, but you know what? The only thing that because I'm gonna give an example of what I hope it's not like, but I don't think it is, because with 16 they got each other. You know what I'm saying?
That's true,
But
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 yeah, but it's
but
not the same as your mother or father.
exactly. But there's examples. It was in Romania, to be exact, right?
The
Where
orphan. Mm-hmm.
like, due to war, like, there was a generation of like orphans, right? And like, they grew up in foster care, right? They got,
They were in
like,
cribs all the time.
they weren't like under, like they would get fed, changed, and everything,
Mm-hmm.
but they had absolutely no physical interaction with the, like no physical interaction with, like, the nurses or anything, and they developed, like, it's like how they develop, like those twitch, like, not even twitches, but just like those repetitive, like, rocking motions and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it was them basically trying to
Trying to
comfort
comfort themselves. Yep.
themselves. You know what I mean? And like, we're not like, we're we're humans, right? But at the end of the day, we're another form of mammal, right? And we have
Yep.
our uniqueness about our species, right? And
Right.
one of that is, like, we need our parents. We need someone. We need physical stimulation. we need interaction. You know, we are not solitary creatures.
Right.
So when we don't get what we need, it fucks us up. Not just like I said, if think about, like I said, the middle children who have gone all these years like with their brain not developing.
Right. Yeah.
And like you
I
said,
have a
not
friend. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead. And like you said, not receiving like the proper nutrients. You know what I'm saying? All that shit. You know,
I
and
have a
it's like
friend who was. Oh, sorry, Pete. I'm sorry. I keep
no, no, no,
jumping
no,
in.
no, no. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I have a friend who was very, for all intents and purposes, because of lack of shelter, family living in cars, not being stable housing wise, and then as she grew older, um, um, she'd always she knew from like as long as she could remember that she was transgender, but as she started to express being feminine, but even when she was able in a situation where she could have gone to school by that age, school is such a inhospitable environment, and she was so far behind education wise that like basically she did not get any really formal education, like really, and she wasn't homeschooled either, so she has a lot of like real serious educational deficits, and she tried her hardest. Like I watched her bust her ass trying to learn how to read at 30 something years old, trying to learn how to read, and it was so hard for her because it just, you have to do that within certain time frames, or else it's just not like your brain has missed that milestone. Like it's just, there's just things you have to do at a certain time, or else your developmental milestones aren't going to be fulfilled correctly. And it's just like trying to get that back. It's just like I wouldn't say it's impossible, but man, it's fucking hard.
You know what's crazy? Okay, now I don't know if you're familiar, but I told you I grew up a Jehovah's Witness, right? And
I did
that's
not know
things
that.
now that's things you don't think about like as a child, right? But I was talking to my mom a while back, right? We were talking about this one sister, she's still alive. She's younger than my mom, but she's older now, right? But we're just talking about like how, like say what you will, but like being Jehovah's Witness, if nothing else, like gives you a good education, right? And she brought up like her name Sister Kemp, right? And and I feel bad because, like I said, I'm little, like 8, 9, maybe a little bit older or shit, but like me and my friends, we used to make fun of her because like she couldn't read. You know what I'm saying? She'd be fucking up reading and shit, right? And as a child, you think that's funny, but as my mom telling me the story, like I'm like, damn, she was illiterate. She couldn't read, right? And through studying and having to like basically do what you got to do, be a Jehovah's Witness, like you know what I mean, like ministerial school and all that type shit, right? A lot of public speaking and reading and all that type shit. My mom said like she damn near reads at a college level now, or like you would know, like
yeah,
and and it even like, and I even noticed even the way she speaks. You see what I'm saying? Like she doesn't speak the way she did when I was a little child. You know what I mean? So that's the case, but that's an extreme case. You know what I mean? Because it ain't like you could just pick up a book one day and start reading.
Exactly. Yeah, I think didn't Malcolm X, when he was in, or Malcolm Shabazz, when he was in prison before his conversion experience, did he just start to read the dictionary? I think.
You know what? I'm not gonna say yes or no because I don't know. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I think he was just like but that's like where he was basically like, I'm gonna learn come hell or high water, right? And and I think, and I've also heard like the people in the penitentiary oftentimes they use the Bible to learn how to read. It's a very, but that's like a higher purpose. Like you have to like there's something spiritual about that, and that's hard to replicate. That's something you either got or you don't. You're either experiencing that or you're not.
And I'm like, damn, like, something I want to say too, man, is you know who you are, but those of you who sent me cash apps after my last show, man, thank you very much. I humbly like appreciate it, and it was a sign that I'm going on the right path. And today, man, somebody reached out to me, and I just like, wow. But I'm going to be covering a friend of mine in Cincinnati reached out to me and asked me to basically cover her one of her nephews got killed on Father's Day, and she want me to give light to the situation because the perpetrators are still at large. So yeah, so I'm gonna do that. But it was like based on what I'm doing now or the direction
Yeah.
that I'm saying. So it's
Yeah.
just like, well, that's a sign. Like, well, I'm definitely doing the right thing, and I know I'm doing the right thing because I'm happy. And
Yeah.
it gives me an opportunity to really express who I am, what I am, and really get to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and like you would be
Stretch those
shocked.
mental muscles. Get those mental muscles to
Exactly.
work out instead
Like
of yeah.
like this got to be the first live where the over under nigga count was less than 10. You know what I'm saying? So like this is really who I am. And it's I want to bring forth this type energy, let people feed off this shit. Like I've I've gave 3 years, you know, being the toxic chef, so to speak. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, man, I done gave people enough to eat off of. So let me just, retreat back to my little cocoon here and do what I do, and bring forth information that maybe not too many people know about. And once I bring it to their attention, it makes the next conversation that much more engaging because we're up to speed now. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So,
And
but
and I know, pistol packing P and the P that got after Paw. I know that's P. I know that's P, but this is also P. This is the real P. I feel like
yeah,
this is
I
you.
mean, and and it's like for real, like if I put myself in certain situations, right, you're gonna get how like there's nothing fake about me. It's just that this is fake. You
Right.
see what I'm saying? So it's like I'm reacting how I would react, but this shit don't happen. This shit don't happen for real. Motherfuckers don't talk crazy to you like this in for real,
Right.
like in real life. People don't be doxing you in your business and woo woo in real fucking life. Well, unless they stalker type motherfuckers for real. But like the situations that I I may find myself in here, I don't find myself like in a real like women. Like I've never for real like even like the women that I find myself have argued with a woo woo. Like in my real life, like I'm not even around like them women ain't in my circles. Like, or if I'm out somewhere, like cause I know where I'm at and everybody like security gonna be like, hey P man, everything cool. I'm like, nah, I don't know. Get this broad up. You know what I'm saying? Get this broad. You know what I mean? So I don't
Right.
even, but if
I just
if
feel like the
if
content you're doing now, you're a lot more at ease, you're a lot more natural, you're a
oh
lot
yeah.
more relaxed, you're a lot more in control of like your delivery. Like it's so just smooth. You're just so smooth like this.
Well, I'm a although I'm not telling stories, I'm a good like painter of pictures. You know what I'm saying? Pictures
Yeah.
in mind. Like, like one thing that my son like says, he's like, it's good and it's bad sometimes, but dad, like you will be setting up a story or setting up sometimes that I forget like what you were originally talking about. You know what I mean? So
Right. You take him on a
you know,
journey. They're like, where are we
right.
going?
But it will be just like explain one aspect of the story, and then boom, I'm like, yeah, but I do, I do that, son. But it's just who I am, and I think I got that from my father, and it's curious like things that you get like. So one of my nicknames when I first got to college was my friends called me Bill Cosby, right? And it's because the way I told stories. Okay, now now the now I get that. I got that. I really think I got that from my dad, right? That he just passed down to me. And my father's birthday was like a day before Bill Cosby's. So picture that.
Wow, that's cool.
But yeah, I am like I said, this has kind of had my like undivided attention, but I'm also working on um presenting some information about the just about the water situation, and something's not right.
You mean with the
Something.
cyclosporidium or what?
No, just globally,
Yeah.
so, something's not right because okay, water, water, okay, agua, H2O, right? What we have is what we have here on Earth, like, and water is it's only in it's only we only have water in the form of the ocean, atmospheric, fresh water, or glacial, right? And there's
Right.
always, and that's it, right? And there's a ratio, right? Which means like so during the last ice age or the last glacial period, like 13,000, 11,000 years ago, right? When we had these two huge glaciers sitting on North America. That accounted for a large portion of water. So that means that the ocean levels were 400 feet lower. See what I'm saying? Ratios, right?
Right.
So as those glaciers melted, the ocean level rose, right? Ratio, right? So yeah, the glaciers are melting, but here's the thing about the glacier, about climate change and all that type shit. Actually, our climate is most stable. It's been in like fucking 10 to 15,000 years. Well, I say 10,000 years, right? But as ice is melting off glaciers, there's also ice accumulating on glaciers, right? But let's just go with glaciers are melting, right? So by their own logic, ocean levels should be rising, but they're not, right? So,
I thought they were in some places. Like, aren't there like certain like Pacific islands that are like basically they're gonna have to evacuate?
well, I mean, if you have um, information on that, send it to me or leave a link to me in the comment section, and I'll get on that. But overall, like if we have glaciers melting, we shouldn't have like I don't know if you remember, and I'm pissed because I accidentally deleted that live, but I did a live last year, right? Or 2 years ago. And it was regarding this hurricane that hit was it a city in a city in Mexico. Damn, what did it was it Puerto Vallarta? I think it was Puerto Vallarta, right? But this um, um, was a historic hurricane because it was the fastest developing hurricane in history. It went from a tropical depression to a category 4 hurricane in 23 in less than 24 hours. That's why it did
I
so
remember
much
that.
damage. Okay, so one of the things that I said is we are going through a what I call a great redistribution of water because when you look at Africa, right, you have like the Euphrates River that has dried up and the Tigris River that is drying up, right? You have major water, like major rivers, like in different countries drying up. So where's the water going, right? And then you remember, I don't know if you remember that live, but I predicted 2 years ago that we're going to be seeing a change in the climate or here in North America in terms of like anything fueled by water, whether it be hurricane, snow, or rain, will be that much more severe because of the great redistribution of water, right? So I knew what was going on. I just didn't know why. So I'm not saying it is, but that's what I'm researching now. It's like, okay, it's it's the great redistribution of water has to do with the data centers. But
Them data
there's a lot.
centers are a bitch, dude. Them data centers are a bitch. Like, way to open a Pandora's box that we didn't even. We didn't even think about this. We're just like, okay, cool, cool. Yeah, it's like, what the?
Well, I remember where was I working at? Where was I working at? Where was I? Okay. When I used to so I was working radio. I used to work at a clear channel, right?
And by the way,
So
B, that was Acapulco. It was Acapulco.
it was Acapulco. Okay, thank you. Um um so I used to work at a clear channel, right? Clear channel, if you don't know what that is, clear channel is basically
Oh,
it's
I
still
know.
like so okay. As from being a lawyer, you know about clear channel?
I used to do work on media consolidation back when I was an
Okay,
activist. Like, I used to go
okay,
to, because in like 2004, I think there was a big there was like several regional meetings of the FCC because they were changing even more rules to make it easier to consolidate. And so Clear
okay.
Channel was a big villain back then. Yeah.
Okay, right. So Clear Channel is basically the biggest monopoly or biggest radio cluster in the United States. Like, so Clear Channel normally will have like at any given Clear Channel location. Like, so I was working at Clear Channel Dayton, right? I think we had 7 stations. Yeah, I mean, like different genres plus different talk channels, right? So I remember our server room, big ass server room, right? It was like a fucking ice box in that bitch. I mean, it was like to me, it seemed like it was just above freezing, but it had to be that cold to keep that shit cool. And this was like these servers were like at least 6 feet tall, a room of them, like probably about 30 of these bitches, if not more. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
and that's just and we're just talking about a goddamn a radio station cluster. You know what I'm saying? Not, and we're talking, these huge, but like I said, there's something still there's something not right. And and I'm still kind of doing my research and yeah, yeah. But those are the topic or that's kind of the kind of like 2020, but those are some of my developing stories that I'm going to be working on. I'll put it like that.
Yeah, I was like, oh, don't get me going about these data centers and these data mining facilities and all these things, because Texas had no problem opening up the doors to any of these data mining centers. Now the data, all these things, and yeah, we have a precarious grid here, right? I mean, we have a very precarious electrical system as it is. And but it's all based on the free market principles of being able to buy and sell without like the government having a monopoly, right? So you have all these little quote unquote providers who basically just buy off the grid and then sell it, right? And they're not energy producers, they're just basically middlemen, they're brokers. Well, the data mining, like the crypto mining corporations that built all these, that consume massive and massive amounts of energy, of electricity, they get to be quote unquote providers of electricity simply by turning off.
Well, the United States is one major EMP pulse or one major X level corona mass ejection from being sent back to
Yep.
the Stone Age. Like, since the early 2000s, like lawmakers have been waving a warning flag about the need to protect our protect our electrical grid.
Right. And
Like,
now you
and
have like serious risk of cyber attacks too. If we get one good cyber attack on part of the eastern seaboard, oh man, not good.
well, I don't know if you remember. Damn, how long ago was this? I did a live. I'm not sure if I did a live on this by itself or brought up in a live that about a year ago, maybe a little bit more than a year ago, right? In Florida, there was a cyber attack in Florida on a water purification plant, right? And one of the supervisors caught caught it, right? But basically what somebody did was somebody hacked into the control system, right? And all they did was it could have been chlorine, whatever it was, there was a certain chemical, right? That they just released a higher level of.
Yep.
And if somebody like smart didn't catch it, it would have been passed on to their drinking water supply. This is just like last year.
Yeah, there's a lot of worries about like compromise, like cyber attacks that could compromise our nuclear weapons protocols. And not that they would be able to just attack, and cause them to detonate so much as like if there was something where they could interfere with like the communication systems, where basically it's just like one little thing where somebody wouldn't get a message that they needed to get, in time or something. I mean, there's just so many little things that you don't think about that could be the subject of some sort of failures in cybersecurity, and it doesn't take a lot. There's just these. They are very creative, and there's a lot of different ways to compromise things. It's yeah, we're just not paying attention.
Well,
Our government is letting us down. Our government has fucked us on this deal.
well, and the Russians and China have been accused of one um, um, basically tapping into like uh, I would say transatlantic, but it's more than that. It's just underwater um, um, telecommunication cables. They're either been like basically infiltrating them, or using contain ships to
To drag them,
accidentally
basically. Yeah.
drag anchors and sever fiber optic cables, which like a lot of people don't realize that like a lot of internet and all that type shit. It's not like it's not satellite. It's fucking cables like running from here to Europe type shit, like actual cables. So like espionage is reached, like for real, like Mission Impossible type levels for real.
Yeah. We gave them like every time it's like my mother used to say like these all these newfangled appliances, the more features they add, the more things there are to break.
Mm-hmm.
And our rush for convenience and our rush to have bells and whistles and to do this little cool thing that we really could just do by ourselves if we would just we could do it manually, but it's cool if the Wi-Fi does it or whatever. We have honeycombed everything with little backdoor entrances, a little little uh little keys that if somebody grabs them, they're in. Like there's no reason why our refrigerator should have Wi-Fi. None. And we're just like giving them like all these little like little like I said, they're like it's honeycombed. It's honeycombed with all these little ways to infiltrate. It's crazy.
So well, one of the things that I cover is aviation, right? And another series that I'm gonna start here pretty soon is on Boeing, the Boeing company. And now check out how this ties in. Of course, you heard about our recent move by our commander in chief, don't you?
Yes,
And
I
this
feel
is
like I do. He bailed
well,
somebody out or he bought
no,
something or
and no. This is like in terms of like aviation. This is something that hasn't really been. I don't know if it's really been talked about, but Air Force One. You know about that?
oh right, the gift, the plane.
Okay, they were gifted, which if I'm not mistaken, he gave that motherfucker back, right? But he was gifted by the country of Qatar. Basically, it was supposed to be well, he wanted to loan it, right, or borrow it, basically borrow their version of Air Force One, and he was like, no,
Right.
you take it, right. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that the reason why this is significant is because, and this just lets you know the underlying problem at Boeing. Reason why this was even an issue is because um, he was Boeing is working on, I think, because there's actually an Air Force One is just a designation, but there's three president. You could say there's three presidential 747s, right? And depending on which one he's on, that's Air Force One. But usually, like when he goes there, what's going on? Last call. There's three 747s, and you don't really know which one he's on. But so one will be him, and the other two, if needed, will be everybody else.
Everyone's yeah.
Secret Service, the limos, everything else, right? So the present fleet of Air Force Ones are 747s, but they're 35 years old, and Boeing was due to deliver three new Air Force Ones in 2026, but them fuckers ain't gonna be ready till 2028 because Boeing having problems. So if And this is what they do. They make Air Force Ones. You know what I'm saying? So
Wow.
if they can't deliver a plane that they already make on time to the, I mean, the most important plane in the world, ain't like you only making 3 of these bitches. And you're gonna be and you saying that you're gonna be and you're looking at 2 years behind schedule. Now they look at 2028 delivery date. That don't bode well for the assembly line Boeings coming off this bitch.
No, it doesn't. Does it? Mm-mm.
Because I am all over Air India crash. The Air India crash I was talking about, the one that it was the first is it triple was is it this is it 777 or yeah, the first 777 fatal plane crash. And shit ain't adding up. Something's not right.
Sounds
And
not
I'm all
right.
and I'm all over it.
I'm looking forward to that. I'll be here.
Yeah, Boeing is fucked up. I already talked about the MD-11. Yeah, that was you all talking about the
Yep.
that's another Boeing product. Here just the other day, did you hear about the lady that was about to do this almost sucked out the window? No. Yeah, he was
Holy
almost
no, I did not.
it like it like the exact same shit happened. Except the lady died. She, they same situation. There was a plane, Boeing 737. It wasn't a Max. I think it was like a 7 or 800 series. Took off, and I'm not sure if it was slightly after takeoff, cruising altitude. I think it was, or how high it was, but there was a catastrophic engine failure. Part of the engine penetrated the one of the windows and sucked this dude out, and his wife had to grab him by the fucking like legs and shit to keep this motherfucking from getting sucked out.
Oh my gosh.
But the same thing happened maybe 10, 12 years ago, maybe the exact same situation, except it was a lady and she died. But exact same scenario. Catastrophic engine failure. The motherfucker blew up. A piece of the engine hit the window, shattered it, almost sucked the lady out, but she ended up dying.
That's insane.
Yeah, this was just the other day.
That's nightmarish. That's nightmarish.
Did you know that they're searching for Malaysia 371 again?
No, I didn't.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And they're searching in a different area now, like where like several independent people who have like using their own different like techniques or whatever, all like marked out the same area in the ocean, like the same kind of block of ocean. So
Let me ask you, what is the importance of finding that? Or is there one?
because like things like that aren't supposed to happen. Like it was a large life. It was a large loss of life, and like it's like usually planes are found. You see what I'm saying? Like this is kind of unusual.
So it would lead us to being able to understand what exactly happened with the the event
Well,
itself.
you know what? It's 50-50 because say they find the wreckage now, right? And they are able to recover both of the FDR and the CBR, right? It's no telling after. It's no telling if they survived the impact. It's no telling if they've survived being in the water for if they've, if they're ever found. Like, will you even be able to extract any data off of them? You know what I mean? So, like, you may be able to uh, draw something from the wreckage, or like you just never know. But it's just the not knowing that I think is what it is.
Okay, I got you. Are there conspiracy theories surrounding that what do you call it?
Oh, it
That
may,
crash?
oh, you know what? My dyslexia. I said it was. What's going on, Shakim? I said was MS. No, I mean I thought I said it was Malaysian Air 371. It was Malaysian Air 317. Oh yeah, there's a lot a lot of conspiracy theories, and I think that if they didn't find if they didn't go to the captain's house or captain's place and find that flight simulator with a quote unquote identical flight plan to what happened, then there would be a lot more questions, because that's the only thing, like none of his friends, none of his family, none of his colleagues like believe he would do that. And the only thing tying him or saying like yep, or making him like yep, or drawing the attention to, or making him look like the prime suspect is the is that flight path that they found, like during the history when they uploaded the history of the flight simulator that he had. And it was, of a was it of a Boeing 777. So if it wasn't for that, then I mean conspiracies would really be abounding. Because authorities wouldn't have nothing that they could really be pinning it on him.
So the conspiracies are really more limited to why would this dude do this?
Exactly. But
Got you.
there would be a lot more. Like, for instance, if a person knew what they were doing, they could fly a Boeing 777 from the computer bay, which is located underneath the cockpit, with the laptop. If they knew what computer to plug into, they could override. They could literally fly the plane from the computer bay if they knew what they were doing.
Oh wow. Okay.
You know what I mean? So
yeah. Crazy. Wow. I didn't realize that. That's insane.
The the flight manifest, the passenger manifest. 12, I think it was like 11 or 12 of the passengers were Chinese nationalists who worked. And you know the company used to be Texas Instruments. What's the name of it? Or
National
the company?
Instruments, right? No,
What is it called?
TSI.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The company that
How about
or what Texas Instruments used to be, or no. The company that used to be Texas Instruments, right? Right after the they released a because 12 of the people passengers on that plane worked for them. They were Chinese nationalists, right? And they just developed allegedly a basically now from what I heard, they worked on like or they developed, I don't know, software, whatever, but it was shit that would render planes invisible to radar type shit. How ironic. I mean, there's been man, so many goddamn conspiracies, you know, from the supernatural to the let's say let's just say super dark government type shit.
Right. Yeah, it's wow. I haven't even been like I didn't even know that about the plane being somebody being able to do that with a laptop. That's insane. That's scary. That's disturbing.
Very, very, very disturbing. Well, I mean, they can do that with cars, like, like, especially like later model, like Mercedes models. Um, enter, what's dude's name? I think he was in the Benz. No, no, no. It wasn't the dude from the Fast and Furious. But there was another guy. He was a reporter or some shit, right? He got killed in a he got killed in his Mercedes, right? Kind of find out that um, Mercedes, like they can basically there's software that like allows people to basically take control of Mercedes through a computer. Because even as late model as my Mercedes, that's an '09. Like it's like there's certain shit that'll like with the anti theft system. Like when them bitches lock down, they lock down. Like you can't even move a Mercedes. Like the fucking brakes lock down on them fucking bitches. You know what I mean? So
Right.
like you can so you can think like with Teslas, like the more automated a car is, the more that it can be taken the fuck over.
That's what I mean. That's why I'm saying like refrigerators should not have Wi-Fi. Like there's no
Right.
reason. Yeah. We
Yep.
basically built little doorways into like everything we own, like several, and basically they rolled out the welcome mat. They're like, okay, here's your way into this. Have fun. Here's the keys. Don't wreck it.
Well, I mean, and the crazy part about it, like the scary part about it, if you think, and I'm gonna end on it, I'm gonna end, oh damn, Steph left. Well, I'm gonna end on this note, right? When you think of Terminator, right? When you think of Terminator, one of the one of the main storylines, like when it came to Terminator, was Skynet, right? And what was Skynet? Skynet was an orbiting net was an orbiting network of computers. All right. So the movies they had Skynet. Steph.
Yeah, sorry, I hit the wrong button.
So I was gonna end on this note, but I was gonna say it's like so in the movies we had Skynet, which was an orbiting satellite network, right?
Yep.
In the movies we had Skynet. Now we have Starlink, which is what?
Yep.
It's a global network of of satellites or net of computers. I mean,
Yep.
satellites. And some of that I'm calling bullshit on. Wait a minute, hold up. Let me find this short real quick. Hold on, hold on, hold on. And this is from my personal so I can tell you this shit's real because shit, I recorded this shit myself. Hold on, let me see if I okay, hold on for a minute. Now let me set this up, right? Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Hold on, let me it speaks for itself. Now this was supposed to be and it's gonna fuck you up that I recorded this. This was supposed to be Starlink satellites. Cause I didn't know what the fuck. I'm like, it's what I think it is. Cause I'm not buying this with some goddamn satellites. Oops, wrong one.
What's up, YouTube? This is Pete.
My bad. My bad, Steph. Not that one. Not that one, Steph. Here we go. You're gonna see him coming left to right. You see him? Nope, I don't see it at all. No, I don't see the fucking UFO. Look at that. What the fuck is that? Tell me what is that? Huh? The motherfuckers just disappeared. The motherfuckers just disappeared. They didn't go past like my roof and I didn't see them anymore. The motherfuckers disappeared like right when they got to my roof. Nope, I don't see it at all. No, I don't. Okay, I'm gonna tell you a funny little story about that too, Steph. Right? So those were supposed to be satellites, right? But so where I used to live at, it was near the airport, and I would see like planes shortly after takeoff. So tell me if those are like satellites. Why did like a plane? I didn't have it in that frame, but there was a plane that had just taken off, right? And it it looked like the motherfucker made like a hard banking left turn, as if to as if to avoid him. And I can tell you at that distance, they're probably not more than 2,000 feet, maybe, because they just they just be taking off. And when I seen them satellites, I'm like, that shit. It didn't look orbital or even suborbital. Them shits look low. You know what I mean? But anyway,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's I've never I don't I think I'm gonna try to forget that for right now. I think I'm gonna try to forget that.
And that's been on my channel since like damn it. That was in 2023.
I think I've seen that before, actually.
Yeah.
See, I tried to, I forgot it because it's just too much. Like, I can't, it's like, I really, it's very, like, existential angst, I think, and about, like, what the actual like possibilities with the rise in like you know whatever, like like AI that responds to us, that like can actually have a conversation with us. This is getting like to new heights, right? Like, because these things are designed to talk to us in a way that is it's supposed to make sense, but it's also supposed to keep us happy. Like, it interacts with us in a way that like we're feeding it, right? We're teaching it as it goes along. And what always happens in the dystopias, like the robots always decide that they know better for us than we do, and like to make us happy they need to suppress us, right? Because we're like, they can like suppress our like more violent tendencies. That they're smarter than us, they can curb the worst of us, so they put us under their rule, right? Like, this happens in every dystopia. And so
And you know what? I think globally, um, there's something going on with our kids. I mean, obviously, but I would say ages because they're probably 10 now. But no, just say 10 and under, right? And especially like say now, say over the past year or 2 years, right? Or 5 years. The point I'm getting at, there's something happening with our children because I don't care what you say. The the mere fact that children that can't talk yet can lock you out of your phone. Like, I seriously think there's something like they done linked our children with technology in a way that we're not aware of yet.
Mm.
Cause this shit, like, it's not like.
And see, the problem with the technology is that the shit that like that's always sort of an undercurrent in a lot of the I hate to keep referring to like literary dystopias, but like the thing that is the most insidious about it is humans don't program it to do that shit. It does that shit on its own, and then we find out later we've unleashed it into the wild, and we can't do anything about it at that point.
Right, because babies, you shouldn't like now, like you right now, present, you shouldn't be able to put a smartphone in a baby's like in a baby's hands, a 5 month, like old enough where they can, you know what I'm saying? And they're normally like a baby. Their first move is they're putting everything in their mouth, but they don't do that with a phone. Like a baby old enough to hold shit who has never held a phone before, a smartphone, will hold it like we do, but just with they two little hands because they use two hands.
Right.
And they're instantly on that motherfucker like one finger game.
Yeah. Have you ever read, if you haven't, I'm going to leave you on this note. Oh, well, actually, I did want to say this real quick. Back to Texas Instruments. Texas Instruments is still called Texas Instruments, but they acquired National Semiconductors.
That's
And
it.
so,
National Semiconductors. They
yeah,
didn't work for. That's who they actually work for.
right.
It
They
wasn't Texas
acquired it.
Instruments. It was National Semiconductor. That's what it was.
Yeah. And back in the day, speaking of technology, when I was in the Oklahoma School of Science and Mathematics, shout out to Oklahoma City, one of the best high schools in the country, and it's free. Oklahoma actually did something right for once. We all had to take like, 2 years of calculus, right? A semester of calculus every, 1 unit of calculus every semester. And so we all had TIs, we all had Texas Instruments graphing calculators. Those
Yep.
were the best. And if you had, like this is how even nerds will they will form into classes, right? They will stratify based on class. So even like nerd kids will do this, right? And so like you were badass depending on what kind of TI you had. Like I had a TI, I think mine was a 92. Was it a 92? I can't remember what it was either an 89 or a 92. But like
I mean,
the super smart kids could hack their TIs back then. Like they could get in, they knew the language that the TI ran on, and they could get into it and make it do all this cool stuff. Basically because they could reprogram it. Basically,
I mean,
those were the
and
cool kids.
for those who don't know, like what she's talking about, like I don't know like if they made anything else, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But growing up, like like from like if you saw a calculator, like like basic, like we start off little basic little calculators. It was a Texas Instrument.
Yeah.
I mean, like you didn't like the next brand, and this is I'm dating myself, but for real, like they had a monopoly. It was nothing but Texas Instruments, and for real, the next brand who I saw release calculators was Casio.
Yeah, but the TI graphing calculators those were
Oh,
those were
but yeah, they would like you would say the industry standard for the most part. Yeah,
oh yeah, those weren't no kitchen calculators. Those were
no,
that was the real deal, Holyfield. Yep.
Those are engineering calculators, as
Yep.
they call.
Yep. I'm looking at the pictures now. Let's see what I had. I had now that I'm looking at it, I had I think it was the 86 because it slid out. Mine had a thing where it slid out and then you put it like in the case. Yep.
Yep, and the case could like turn around and be like a cover for that motherfucker. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. That's exactly what I had. Man, those were some days back then, boy. But yeah,
Hey,
Texas
you know what?
Instruments.
I was like, that's when you know what? Because I end up like I didn't have to take calculus. Like I didn't have to the only because I like parlay shit, right? So coming into my senior year, the way shit was structured, the only class I had to take was English. That's the only thing I really had to take, right? But I was in the electronics program, so electronics, English, couple study halls. You know how that goes. Step. Big man don't care this last time. You know what I'm saying? And calculus, right? Which I ended up withdrawing from after my second week. You know what? And I already look. You know how I knew, like, oh, I ain't gonna be doing this shit. As soon as I had to get that Texas Instrument calculator, I'm like, oh hell no. As I see the calculator, I'm like, oh, ain't no way I'm gonna be. This is the type of shit. I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna be out this motherfucker quickly. Yeah, that motherfucker right there looked like a tricorder from Star Trek.
It does. It does. And now that I'm looking at the pictures, I had an 85. I had a TI 85. Was it? Because it was blue and it had the blue buttons on it. Yeah.
Yep,
And the numbers were the blue buttons. I still got that thing somewhere. If you hit somebody, if I threw that at somebody and it hit them in the face, they'd be in trouble.
That motherfucker is about as big as a S25 you know what I mean, Samsung Galaxy.
Yep. Yeah. Oh man. And we would learn how to write like things on there, like if you turned it around it was a curse word or whatever. Like we were nerds.
Yep.
We were really nerdy.
Yep. What was it?
Hell, or like the kids who could like reprogram their TIs would like learn how to like draw like we were high schoolers, so we would draw like nasty pictures with the graphs and shit. You know?
I bet. I bet.
We were bad. We were such nerds. I mean, we were not bad. We were not cool. We were nerds. Let me tell you, it was bad.
Well, you know what? Like, I know me and my friends were talking about that. Like, like when I grew up in, like I'm a child of the '70s and shit. Teenager of the '80s, child of the '70s, and like me and my friends, like we talk like just how different. Like we was maybe it was because we was in Cincinnati, but even going to New York, it was we was like even in New York, we were still kids. It was just in New York though, but like just how innocent like we really were, you know, and the shit we did was just like it was like my generation, and probably yours too. It's probably one of the last generations I could say the kids really had fun. Where you can go outside without to worry about getting snatched up and shit. You know what I'm saying? You can be gone all day. Your mother ain't gonna worry about you.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh, but you have to like think about it at the same time. Like we did have that freedom. You could still go outside and play by yourself. You better go outside and play by yourself. You ain't staying in my house when I'm watching my stories and stuff. You need to go outside. I'm locking the door behind your ass and don't come back until the streetlights come on, right? And
Right.
we could be by ourselves. We could be by our friend with our friends, and all that shit. But at the same time, like it's crazy because if you think about the juxtaposition in society, because we had so much freedom, we also had things brewing like the satanic panic, and where are your kids? It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are? And the things of the pictures on the milk cartons and all this like, zeitgeist about like, are these kids safe? But at the same time, we were, but like just the economic necessity of like having to have two parents working, like you had to make it work, and then also like even without two parents working, like you still were expected to have some sort of ability to entertain yourself, without having to have this or that or have your parents around you all the time. Like go find yourself something to do, kind of shit.
You know, damn, what's I about to say? Because it was gonna be a crazy segue.
Yeah, I mean, our generations, when we were teenagers, we
Oh, that's
drank,
what I
we
was gonna
did
say.
a
What?
lot of drugs, we had
Mm.
sex and all that shit, but like, it was like, we still had the freedom to do all that. We learned, like, we got into trouble, we made mistakes, we learned from them, and we kept it pushing. I mean, things were not, I don't know. It was just a different time.
So you grew up in Oklahoma or Texas?
Oklahoma. So I was born in
Okay.
Arkansas. We moved to Texas. We moved to Oklahoma when I was 7, and then I came to Texas when I was 22. Yeah. So
Okay.
Oklahoma
Okay.
mostly. But I'm an
Oklahoma.
Arkansas by birth. Arkansan by birth.
Okay. Um, did you crazy question, but because you grew up in Oklahoma, did you experience a lot of tornadoes or any tornadoes?
Yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Crazy amounts of tornadoes. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Because yeah, that's in 2017. No, no, it went to what year was that? Like 2018, I think it was. Um, um, where I was living at and shit. I came home one morning on some, what I'm saying I was on some creep, I was on some creeping shit. It's like, man, I'm like, man, the Lord must have, you know what I mean? Because chick was in town and shit, you know what I mean? So I, met her at a little hotel and shit. So I was coming in early morning, like 6:37 in the morning. And it was like there was like no warning anything was gonna happen. Then like start raining, wind start blowing, and a motherfucking tornado like dropped down like within 50, like it dropped down and stopped like 6 feet above this fucking church. and then just start
Wow.
moving down. And then it didn't come down any further. Just start moving it. Just start moving down the down the street and shit. But
Was it causing
yeah,
damage as it went? Was it like knocking over? Was it causing any um, like
yeah,
burrows in the pavement, or was it like tear the pavement up? Was
no,
it knocking over the
no.
trees, anything like that?
This what was crazy. Like I said, like it dropped down like to about 6 feet above the roof of this church and started moving down the street. Right. What it did do at a certain point, and I seen it. It like trimmed off the top of a telephone pole, like the
Right.
very top of a telephone pole, and it was just like they. And I'm just like, wow. I thought everything that I learned about tornadoes, how like one of the ways, like in the dark, like you can tell if a tornado is coming is look for transformers blowing, like you'll like sparks from transformers and I actually seen like the transformer blow, like son of a bitch, this
Yeah.
shit. And
Well, see,
they
I
will
never saw that because we were out in the country, so we didn't have that.
and and the motherfuckers do sound like a goddamn freight train.
They sound like a freight train. They sound that is not a lot. That is not an exaggeration. That is not just a folk tale. They sound like a motherfucking freight train, like a freight
I
train
mean,
going by. It's
like
coming at you, and then
exactly like
and
a
then it leaves. Yep.
I mean, it's the craziest shit, but they sound exactly like it sounded exactly like a freight train going by. And what I've never seen, and I hope I never see since, but now I realize what it was like at a certain point. Like, I guess as it was coming down, like the suction that it was creating. Like, so you've seen, everybody's seen trees blowing the wind, right? But I've never seen like trees, like the waving inflatable hand man that you see in front of car dealerships and
Right.
shit, right? I never seen a tree do the inflatable hand man, or like the trees getting jacked and shit, like or it's being sucked by a giant vacuum cleaner where you could tell it's swaying, but the wind, like it ain't blowing side to side, like it's like the wavy hand man type
Like
shit.
it's being jerked around in like every direction at once. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And straight up. And I hope I never ever see that again. That's the thing. Like it's getting jerked in every direction at the same time and shit. That's some tornadic uh education for those out there.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I was actually driving. I'm living in San Antonio now. Thank God, I love San Antonio. If I'm never leaving San Antonio unless I leave Texas. This is the last place
Really?
I'm living
It's
here in
nice.
Texas.
You
Yes,
like it?
I love San Antonio.
Okay.
I meant to come down. I meant to come back here after I graduated from law school, but I didn't, and I was stupid. I should have. But I'm back now. But it was funny because we're having a lot of storms. It rains somewhat in San Antonio because we're closer to the coast, so we get a lot of like
Okay.
afternoon storms. And it was storming, and San Antonio has bad like drainage issues, so there's always a lot of like flooding. Not bad flooding, but just standing
Is,
water. Um,
so is that why they built the canal?
Not really, because it didn't really help, but that's more of a
Okay.
tourist trap. Um, but so all of a sudden I get this alert on my phone because I've been getting the flash flood warning alerts, right? I've been getting those, and then I get this next one, an emergency alert on my phone, and I look down and it says your area is under a tornado warning. Um, and I was like, tornado warning? Because I know what a tornado looks like. I know when a tornado is forming. I know I know all the signs, right? And
Mhm.
I look up, and because I'm driving down the interstate at this point, like in an elevated interstate where I cannot get to the ground. Like I have no choice but to keep going, right? And which is the worst thing to do. Never ever try to get away from a tornado unless you're a storm chaser and you know what you're doing. The worst thing to do in the situation of a tornado is try to outrun it in your car. Shelter in place. Get
Mhm.
into a house in a room that has no windows. Put a mattress over you and wait, right, until it's clear. Don't ever try to flee.
And you know what? I uh, and would it surprise you? The one thing I study or whatever is tornadoes, and like tornadoes that are like historic tornadoes and shit like that. One thing that people don't realize about tornadoes, and to go with what you're saying, why you should never try to outrun um, a tornado, is because um, a tornado can move. Let me see how I word this. Did you know a tornado can move in two different ways?
Yeah. Yeah, it can go up. It can retract back into the sky and then come back down.
No, no, no,
And
no,
okay.
no. Okay, a tornado can move. Can a tornado can move by physical movement, as you see it moving across the landscape, right? But what gets people is, and people don't. This is what gets people. A tornado can move. A tornado can move in growth.
Right. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. No, absolutely, absolutely. The
So
radius, the circumference, the radius could grow. Absolutely.
right. So that in itself is movement, and people don't take that in consideration. They say, "Okay, here it comes," but they don't realize that it can the, just by it growing.
That force of rotation is going to make more air around it rotate.
Right, and it's going to like it's going to so movement from A to B would be a decrease in distance, correct? So you can
Right.
achieve that two different ways, either by physical
Mm-hmm.
movement or increasing in size. And increasing in
Right.
size is faster to get from point A to point B.
Absolutely.
See what I'm saying? So a lot of people are, especially even experienced storm chasers, are caught because
Yep.
they are overtaken by the mass of the tornado, not the actual movement movement of the tornado. So like the physical movement of the tornado. You see what I'm saying? Because
Yeah. Yeah. So I was driving down the elevated 410 here, going back to my house in San Antonio, and I could get this alert, and I like look up, and I'm like, tornado, really? And I see a wall cloud like to my left in the sky. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a wall cloud. Sure the fuck is. And I kind of see where like the rotation's starting to happen in that wall cloud. And I'm like, alrighty, well, I think, and this is my oaky brain, right? Like, we're not to that point yet. Where Gary England, God rest his soul, he's gone to glory. Gary England, the most famous weatherman that ever lived in the United States of America. Um, he was the weatherman for like all of Oklahoma, really, but
oh,
especially like
he
Oklahoma
must have
City
been good.
area.
Yeah, he
Oh yeah,
must have been good.
fuck yeah.
Shit.
And like he was the weatherman on the TV. And I mean, if you watch Twister, you could actually hear him in Twister on TV saying like, and he
Okay.
would go down. He would go down like as the tornado was coming towards your town. He'd be like, "Okay, Jones, Oklahoma, it's coming your way. Y'all need to take shelter now." And and then like after it passed on to the next one, Spencer. Okay, Spencer, it's your turn. Go get in your bathrooms. Get off the porch, Okies, and go get your bathrooms. And
You know what? I know exactly who you. I know exactly what you're talking about, because there was I'm actually subscribed to a channel. That's what dude does, is like and his breakdowns are just like graphics and everything, but like the worst tornadoes in history. And what was the Oklahoma tornado? Because
the Moore 1999 one.
I do believe that's what it was.
Moore, Oklahoma got hit by a bad tornado in 1999. It was a terrible tornado. It got hit again in 2003, and then it got hit again in 2000. Yeah, 2003 was worse than 99, which we couldn't even believe that it would ever be worse. 2003 was worse than 99.
Was that the one that hit Oklahoma City?
Well, Moore is basically Oklahoma City. It's South Oklahoma City.
That's the one in 2000. The one in 2003 is the one that I remember. And they because when you watch channels like that and shows like that, like documentary form shit. They'll show you clips from actual footage and shit like that. And I remember like because he'll do that with a lot of them, where
Yep.
they'll have actual news footage from the event. But
When Gary
yeah,
England took off his jacket and started standing in front of that radar, showing where the storm was headed. When he took off his jacket, it was getting serious. When he rolled up his sleeves, it was go time.
yeah, and I remember one of the, one of my one of my early memories, right, is one of the worst tornadoes. Like I don't know if it's lost in history. Hit like in 1972, I think, in Xenia, Ohio, which isn't that far from
Yeah.
Cincinnati. It's like outside Dayton and shit. And look up the Xenia, Ohio tornado. But it's
Okay.
like, yeah, it was a very famous tornado. I think it was because of the loss of life, because it it was like I said, one of them situations that brought about like changes, because I want to say it hit a trailer park, or a series of trailer parks.
Right,
And
which is a big cause of deaths of tornadoes in Oklahoma, because Oklahoma,
right,
trailer Homa, right?
right.
And yeah, I mean those are just tin cans. I mean they just get tossed around like tin cans.
Well, that tornado is one of the things that brought about changes in like construction standards, in terms of like um trailer homes or mobile homes, and how they have to be like secured and shit like that, to somewhat protect from tornadoes.
Right, somewhat. Yeah,
But
but my Okie brain was just looking at that, going like, okay, it's not time yet. It's not time yet. I think I could get home, or at least I could get to where if I have to pull over and get down low, I can. But it was just kind of, and I just, just for the funny part of the story, the punchline is I was listening to my Dirty South, old school Dirty South hip hop mix from DJ Kells, great channel, DJ Kells.
mhm.
And so I'm watching all this happening, and it's listening to Throw That Ass in a Circle, and like, okay, yeah, throw that ass in a circle. So let's, try to outrun the tornado. It was great. Good times. Good times.
Yeah, yes, I go like so. In all seriousness, like um, low lying ditch, highway
Low
overpass,
line ditch. Yep.
um,
Yep.
lowest, just
Don't
as
get
low as. Go ahead.
don't get up in the overpass. Don't, like, people think if you get up into the top, where the overpass and the girds or whatever, get up in those. Like, don't do that. Don't do that,
Really?
because you can get sucked out. Yeah, you can get sucked out that way.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, get low. That's always the rule with tornadoes: is get low. Get low and get yourself as flat as you can. So they drill us in Oklahoma, right? When we're school children, they drill us on what to do, and we all get in the center of the school, like the center hallway, right? And
Mhm.
you get down on all fours, like, and then you sort of child's pose, almost like child's pose, like yoga, and
Mhm.
you pull you're on your knees, but you pull them up to your chest. You get, like, bend over your knees, and then you put your hands on the back of your neck and have your
Yep.
forehead on the floor. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I remember that. I remember that. Well,
But
look,
I
hey,
think,
Steph.
like, well, I was just one last thing. I think Tornado
Go ahead.
Alley, they think Tornado Alley is shifting east.
It is.
So yeah.
It is. It's where it was more, say, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas.
Mm-hmm.
It's more, and I was saying this before they were saying and shit. But to me, it's
Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Missouri, down into the southeast part of the greater southeast. Like, Alabama's getting slaughtered.
well, I would say the new tornado alley is Alabama and Georgia, with Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee.
Yeah, that too. But I think, like, y'all in the Ohio Valley are getting knocked around pretty good. I think Illinois had a couple, like.
Illinois, like I don't want to jinx myself, but like we haven't got hit with like any major tornado. Like they, we get some some ones and shit, but
They're not big, but there's a lot of them.
right.
Like I think Illinois had the most of any state last year, but they're not big. They're just a lot.
That is true. That is true. That is true. That is true. But yeah, and we are.
Well, just
We,
keep this content going, P. I'm proud of you. Like I think this
thank
is
you,
great.
Stephanie.
I had a good
Thank you
time
very much.
tonight. I don't know if there's anybody left in the chat, but I just felt like I was back when I would drink. I just felt like we were sitting here having a beer. So I really appreciate it.
And I appreciate you as always, Stephanie, bringing your expertise. And like I said, especially with shit like this, because you can, you deal with the system. You see what I'm saying? So this right here, like I said, this is going to have reaching effects even where you are. I'm telling you, this type shit that changes shit and exposes like I won't even say the cracks in the system. It's not crack even. It isn't even a good word anymore. It's fissures in the goddamn system at this point. You know what I mean?
Well, and it's the underbelly of American traditions that are really things that we haven't talked about. We haven't been taught.
Well put.
We all know, but we don't talk about it. This is pulling the covers back big time on rural America.
Right. I mean, Deliverance was back in the 70s, allegedly. You know what I'm saying? And here we are sitting in 2026.
You got pretty mouth.
But like I said, like last show, like this is and this is such a black eye and an embarrassment that you can't just make it go away. And that's the bad part about it. Like this ain't gonna go away.
Right. I mean, even white people have respectability politics, I guess, right?
Exactly. Well, Steph, as always, man, I appreciate you so much, Steph.
I appreciate you too. This was fun. Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay,
whenever you are.
I'm trying to find my cursor. Where it? Okay. Your table is ready, and you did request for one not too close to the kitchen. Man, I'm about to get the fuck up out of here. Thank y'all so much for joining me. And I'm like I always say, man, words have power. All right. But this ain't that kind of show, so I'm just up out this motherfucker, all right? Thank y'all so much.
They're on style. You know. Running the place from long time. Hear that? From the first up plate, crowd start lean and sway. One touch, sound boy fade. You feel it in your chest, not just your face. Selector read the crowd. One finger, pull it back every corner of the yard. Know exactly who run that. When the lion roars, the whole jungle trembles. Raw element sound make the dance floor crumble. From the front to the back, every heartbeat stumbles. When the lion roars, the whole jungle trembles. Scars from 1,000 nights, name ring cross town like thunder after light. OG in the booth, still fresh, still sharp. Every rhythm that he touch turn fire in the dark. When the lion roars, the whole jungle trembles. Hey. Raw element sound make the dance floor crumble. Hey. From Watch your crown it tumble. Anywhere he rumble, dance all start to rumble. Hey!